Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. All right. A couple of quick things to wrap up with the state stuff. When Bel Edwards sent this little note out to the governor and his little, what's his little weenie, Corbo, spokesman, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought of weenie with spokesman, but I did. So I said the wrong one. I meant to say spokesman Corbo. Okay. You feel better, Brandon? Brandon says, I hope
Not
so.
really, but okay.
But you're a survivor.
Yeah.
Corbo and them said the unemployment rate and what we're changing in the new jobs. And I thought, well, we just got a deal. Jobless claims are the lowest since 1973 nationally. So that's going to affect Louisiana. Then I thought, can anybody tell me, because they're bragging that we have the lowest unemployment rate since 2008, just in 2 years. And I used to say the same thing with Jindal, who was a Republican. Can anybody name the one piece of legislation, just one, that Bel Edwards helped get passed in the House and Senate that gave us lower unemployment? Can you give me one? Is there one? And the answer is no. He didn't do anything to change the unemployment rate in this state. Nothing. He didn't do anything. But yet he wants to take credit for it. He wants to take credit for 2,000 jobs, and not one of them's here yet. Remember that? I've been consistent with Foster and Blanco and Jindal. Tell me about the jobs you created after they've been created. So if the unemployment rate's going down, what did Edwards do? And they can't answer that. But they can say it because that's what the press writes. By the way, snow in all 50 states. So much for I told y'all man-made global warming was icy. Trump announces the fake news winners. All right, Brandon, let's see. He gave one for the New York Times' Paul Krugman.
I think he got the top honor, actually.
Okay. He claimed on the day of President Trump's historic landslide victory the economy would never recover. He said the markets will never recover from Trump. Dow Jones has hit the highest ever. The second place, ABC News' Brian Ross chokes and sends markets in a downward spiral with false reports. Here's what happened. ABC demoted Brian Ross after the report on Trump and Russia. Number 3. By the way, CNN won mostly. CNN falsely reported that candidate Donald Trump and his son Donald Trump Jr. had access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. CNN botches dates inaccurately reports Trump campaign had WikiLeaks leaked reviews. Number 4. Time falsely reported that President Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office. Then they show a picture of Trump with the Martin Luther King statue on the desk. Once again, a lie. Number 5. Washington Post falsely reported that the president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola, Florida, was empty. Dishonest reporter showed picture of an empty arena hours before the crowd started pouring in. The reason they had proof of it, Brandon, is because they took pictures of all the people there and it was packed to the rafters. But the Washington Post reported falsely, like they do. I had nobody here. You know, Brandon, show up at a LSU football game playing Alabama. Kickoff is 7. And go show the crowd at 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock. How many people you think will be at the LSU-Alabama game?
Yep.
That's what they did. What they continue to do, and people buy into it. Here's another one. I'm going to do this just a segment, Brandon. I'm not going to do them all, of course. CNN falsely edited a video to make it appear President Trump defiantly overfed fish during a visit with the Japanese Prime Minister. Now, Brandon, this is silly.
Oh, I remember that.
The Japanese Prime Minister actually led the way with the feeding. CNN falsely reported that Anthony Scaramucci,
oh yeah,
meeting with a Russian, the mooch man, with a Russian, but retracted it due to a significant breakdown in the progress. 3 CNN employees resigned over the retracted story. Folks, there's so much false news and fake news to it's not even funny. And by the way, I'm glad he did it. See, this killing him. It is absolutely eating his lunch. See, when President George W. Bush was there, they beat on him like a yard dog, and he never fought back. And they thought they could do the same thing. When Obama was there, they tried to save his presidency and bless his presidency, every single day. Every day. Just like they're doing John Bel Edwards. By the way, I'm going to come back and give you the figures. What they keep saying they cut $700 million out the budget for education. I got the tuition of somebody that's at school. Brandon, when you hear this, you tell me if you think they got a lot less money, $700 million higher education. I'm going to get those numbers for you one day. I'm going to get them for you. Anyway, we'll come back. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. I don't have the blues.
Why'd you stop singing? I thought you were
because I don't have the blues. I'm even pumped up more than I was the first hour. Hi, hello. Welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. All right. Before we take some phone calls, let me give you some real numbers. They are now claiming that we cut $700 million since 2008. Actually, it wasn't a cut. The cut was between 2011 and 2012. Okay. I got real numbers here. Once again, not the Adley lies, real numbers. In 2008, it was $2.9 billion at state funding for higher ed. In 2017, it's $2.6 billion. That's $300 million less. But let me give you, quote, the rest of the story. Now, the press keeps saying $700 million less. Don't know where they pulling their numbers out. I'm getting real numbers from a spreadsheet. Okay? You say, and from 2012 to 2017, it was only 2.8. It was 2.8 billion to 2.6 billion. It was only 200 million cut. They keep saying 700 million. Here's the rest of the story. Tuition has skyrocketed since then. Fees have really skyrocketed then. They're not spending $700 million less. Look at overall money. They've raised fees under Jindal and Edwards. They've raised tuition. Let me give you a true story right here. A daughter of a friend of mine is a junior at one of the universities. Okay, and they do winter quarters. The tuition is $1,851 is what TOPS covers. You ready for this, Brandon? You in school. The fees are $1,459. The fees are almost as much as the tuition.
My tuition used to be less than that $1,400. That's ridiculous.
But Brandon, when they write in the paper and the higher ed starts crying, I want some sincerity here, and I can't get it from anybody, especially not Robert Adley and the Edwards administration. This person right here, the fees are almost as much as the tuition, and the tuition has gone up. So when they say the states cut $700 million, that's bogus. That's not using the whole story. So this is a Robert Adley story right here. Lie. See, folks, I'll be the bad guy. I'm the one bringing up the truth. Nobody wants to hear the truth. And by the way, $1 billion budget fall, here's another scare tactic from the Times-Picayune, could mean 80% cut to TOPS. Louisiana legislators and higher education leaders have been told the state budget proposal that will be presented Monday will likely include 80% reduction in funding for TOPS scholarship. The type of cut would be for incoming freshman students already enrolled in college that use TOPS to pay for school. There we go again. Doom and gloom. Let's scare the heck out of everybody. And I'm telling y'all, folks, for people, and I'm going to get the real numbers on how much money actually goes to higher ed is going to probably blow us away. When they start looking at tuition increases, TOPS pays so much, they start looking. But folks, I'm not even talking about books, which is we don't even need hardly, well, I say you don't need books, but unbelievable. And I'm sitting here fighting in the gap for you folks. And these people just keep piling on. Let's go to Jack in Alexandria. Jack, how you doing?
Hey, fine, Moon. Moon, I have two things to talk to you about. The first thing, I'm going to give you and Brandon a suggestion. Second thing is I'm going to be serious with you. Did I hear a while ago that you and Brandon are going to go on an Alaskan cruise and y'all are going to wear Speedos?
No. I don't know what you were hearing, but none of that came out of our mouths.
About to say, Brandon feels insulted now, but go ahead.
Oh.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you something. Here's a little advice. If you guys are going to promote this cruise, you certainly don't want to say anything to have people have such a horrible vision of what it's going to be like out there.
I'm not doing it. Some lady called and asked, was I promoting that again, and I told her no.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I was advised from my bride to shut up on that, so I'm listening.
That's hilarious. Man, I don't know if many people know about this, but I want to tell you what happened in the summer of 2017. I did some legal work recently and in Rapides, and when I found out what the recording costs were, it was actually more than the legal fee. And I said, well, what's going on? And this is what he told me. He said that the lawyers complained about in different parishes that the recording cost, when they would go to record something, were all different. And they just they didn't want to take the time to estimate and find out what the recording costs were. So our wonderful legislature, evidently, passed a law where all the recording costs in Louisiana are the same. And he told me they used the parish of Orleans as the example. Well, what it's done is it's made the recording costs everywhere else just double and triple. Now, I'm not complaining about the clerk of court. They have nothing to do with it. They're doing what the law says. But it just passes on huge costs to everybody buying a home or a car or businesses or people taking out loans from banks where they have to record the liens. And that is just unbelievable. If you don't believe it, Google it, and you can read all about it.
And what's happening is government finds ways to keep getting money. And a little bit here, a little bit there. Pretty soon, one day when you get up there, you're going to go, my God, how do I live? Because it just, everything's subtle.
That's exactly right.
And the same things happen in higher ed. I had a kid, or two kids in college when Bobby Jindal was governor. And I never forget writing the checks. And it was always jumping up a few $100s every semester because they kept raising it and raising it. I remember writing a check, and I'm not going to tell you what school, but I remember starting off around $3,100, Brandon. I think about the time they graduated, I was in the $4,200, $4,300 range over about a 2 or 3 year period. And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
let me say one thing. I want to apologize to Brandon. If he wasn't included in the Speedo thing, I apologize. Okay?
He wasn't, but I'm glad you included him. I'm glad you included him, and I'll let his wife know that y'all included it.
She'll appreciate that.
All right. See you, man. Thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. That's why I question what I question, Brandon. Okay, if you take the overall budget of any entity, there's always parts of the budget. Like in my budget in my house, you're going to do the same thing. You got a house note. You may have a car note. You got insurance you pay. You got to eat. You got to pay the utility bill, blah, 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 blah. Well, if I tell people that, the only thing I got is I just got to pay the house note. When people say, wow, you don't make that much money, all you got to do is pay your house note. That's it. But if I add everything up, it's different stuff. I got more bills than that. Even if you pay everything off, you got more. You still got bills. Well, the legislature is doing the same thing, and higher ed's doing the same thing. Look, I'm not cutting higher ed. We need good higher ed in this state, and I'm all for higher ed having exactly what they need. I have no problem with that. So people in higher ed can get mad at me all they want to. What I'm saying is the $700 million is a joke. It's a joke. And so they didn't lose $700 million. They found up other ways to make up the money. Fees and tuition were just two of the ones. The book racket at higher ed, and anybody that's got their kids in school understand that is a racket. That is a money racket. And they don't see that tells me they don't really care what we pay as long as they getting plenty. That's not right. All right, we all got a limited amount. All right, let's take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, Brian, if you get it on the website or whatever, the Alan Seabaugh, Robert Adley debate on Kill this morning. I thought Aaron and Robert did a great job. It wasn't no hollering over the top of each other. So you can go watch the whole thing and listen to the whole thing. Should I say there's a video at thedeadpelican.com, thedeadpelican.com. And when you watch it, close your eyes and go, okay, before I listen to this, remember one thing. And the only thing you got to remember, Senator Robert Adley is a liar, and he lies. And if you remember that when you watch this, and remember everything I talked about today, you would understand what he's doing. Okay? A guy that voted for 8 of Bobby Jindal's budgets. And by the way, Brandon, he carried the water for Bobby Jindal a lot. And here's what happened. He was going to come tell us about Hilario, and Hilario gave him a committee chairmanship. And he carried the water for Bobby Jindal those last 4 years. Now, what he will tell you is the first 4 years he was challenging Jindal on some stuff, on being open in what he was doing. And he did. Okay? But that wasn't the last 4 years. And why did he vote for every budget? Because as a committee chairmanship on the great, the magician, the Michael Jordan of the legislature, the grown-up in the room, John Hilario, he wouldn't have dared went against Hilario. All right.
So they have 4 videos posted, and I see the first one is like a 7.5-minute video.
Yeah, you can break it down. You don't have to listen to all of them. You can listen to one lie after another.
Do you want to listen to some lies today or no?
You know, Brandon, tell you what you do. How long is the last one?
The last one?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Tell me how long is the last one?
5.5 minutes.
Okay. This is the end of the debate. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing this up is watch it. I'm going to try not to, Brandon. I'm not going to say anything. We're going to listen to 5.5. I really am going to try to do.
You want me to turn your mic off?
No. Yeah, you can do that too. But here's what I want to do. Listen to the end when they say, Robert Adley, you got the last few minutes, a minute. And Robert Adley starts talking about Alan Seabaugh didn't do this, and Alan Seabaugh wasn't there. But Robert Adley was there. Everything got done was screwed up. But I just want to show you the tone of Adley because he was losing the debate. So he had to jump on Seabaugh. This is the last 5.5 minutes of the debate.
State Representative Alan Seabaugh and former State Senator Robert Adley. So I think we'll both agree, we can all agree that Adley, when John Bell talks about fiscal cliff, the plan is to spend more than we actually have.
No.
No?
No. That's where Alan is so very, very wrong. Alan, again, has to, and now he voted no, so I get it. I understand where he is. But the truth is the entire legislature voted to put this temporary penny on the people of Louisiana. That was an increase in a tax. It was. The legislature did that because they had a temporary, they thought, shortfall of $2 billion. Mm-hmm. But now that goes off this year.
Yep.
So now you're left with this $1 billion cliff. Now, Alan says that they passed it temporarily, that you voted against. You didn't pass it under any circumstances. He says that the others, and what he thought they were thinking was that they passed it because they could go find more cuts. That's absolutely not true.
Well, Mr. Robert, what's the solution to the cliff?
Bear with me. The legislature themselves did a very good thing. When they passed that temporary tax, they also passed the creation of a committee made up of professional people to go spend an entire year to put together what was needed to reform Louisiana's tax structure. The legislature asked for that. Now they have met, they've come back, and they've made all of these recommendations. The governor has adopted any of them that the legislature wants to pass. They are the legislative ideas. Now, I understand you didn't vote for the budget to begin with, and you're not going to vote for any of this either. But all of those other people who voted for the temporary measure, pending this report, they now have that report. And so everything that you're seeing coming from the governor is coming as a result of that committee created by the legislature. And the governor has said, whatever you want to pass, it's okay with me, but we need to structurally
fix this place. Excuse me, gentlemen, we are short on time in the hour. Okay, Mr. Allen, and then Robert to wrap up.
Watch when Robert
if there's not enough money, or we're going to spend more than we got, you can define it, and we've discussed that for an hour. How do we fix the problem?
We've got to cut. We have two choices. I mean, it's a twofold problem. You can raise taxes, and give the governor what he wants, or you can find spending cuts, or you can do some combination of the two.
But so much is protected. That's the problem.
I agree, the discretion, and that's one of the things I think we do agree about, that too much of it's protected. There was a pretty good bill last year to try to undedicate some of that, and we couldn't get any traction with it. I do agree. We've actually found something that we agree on, the committee and the recommendations that they made. But the problem is that it's a twofold problem. There's revenue, which the committee addressed, but they were also supposed to address spending cuts, and they didn't. They made a couple of references to it, but so far half of the equation of whether it's taxes,
big,
revenue, and spending, the governor only wants to talk about the spending side.
Bingo.
The tax side.
Bingo.
Give me more, give me more, give me more. We'll talk about spending once we figure out how much we've got. The rest of us, or the people on my side, are looking at it saying it's a two-pronged problem. You can't have a budget without the revenue and the spending. So since we're in this problem, and we have a fundamental disagreement in how to get out of it, and some of us don't want to raise taxes, and the governor doesn't want to cut spending. So the bottom line is we're both going to have to give a little bit, probably, and meet somewhere in the middle. Whether it's half of the penny, I have no idea. The reason everybody keeps going back to the penny is it's the one tax that has some Republican support.
Excuse me, Alan, pardon me. Robert, we got just about a minute to wrap up.
Watch this, folks.
What's the solution?
It's simple. He's not raising taxes. He is taking the highest sales tax in the country that the legislature passed and asking you to replace it. This is very simple, y'all. Everybody agrees. He had a $2 billion problem when he came in office. To replace that temporary tax is $1 billion. The only other way you solve the other billion was that he cut that other billion. I mean, that's a fact.
It's not
all he's asking.
Excuse
me. Yes, he did. And I gave you the list a minute ago.
Here it is. Listen.
And I'm going to tell you this, Alan. I sit in that office a lot, and I meet with our colleagues in the House, and I've never seen your smiling face there. I've never seen you put up one single bill to reform budgets in this state. I've never seen you put up one bill to reform taxes in this state. None.
Then you had
and Alan, wait a minute now. Alan, Alan, give me my clothes. And you vote against everything.
See? Alan's fault, y'all.
That's easy politics. That's easy politics. And that's demagoguery to its worst degree. It will not solve the problem. The solution, these things that this committee came out of, that the legislature asked for, that the legislature themselves asked for, are basically exactly the same things that came out of a very similar committee in 1988 under Buddy Rome.
We're going to get cut off real quick, Alan.
The structure.
Okay. First of all, Adley sounds like arguing with a woman. All right, number two. The $2 billion he's talking about, Robert Adley, Senator Adley voted 8 out of 8 times to have a $2 billion worth of budget, and he's blaming Seabaugh, who wasn't even there half the time. That's what blows my mind. When Robert Adley says the truth is, run like hell, because it ain't going to be no truth. Number two, the task force. Even the governor, that task force, Brandon, the report was put out last year. What did the governor do? He said to hell with it. He said, I'm going with the new cat tax. He didn't even accept that. He didn't do it last year. Another lie by the liar himself. I'm just telling you. He wanted the cat tax. Okay, another big thing. That committee was supposed to come back with some cuts, real cuts, and it didn't. It came back with real tax increases. That's the part. And Governor John Bel Edwards rejected the same committee that Robert the Liar Adley's talking about. The liar's talking about. You remember last year, folks? He wanted to go with the cat tax. He wanted to tax anything that moved or breathed. And people laughed at him. It didn't go anywhere. And even the press at the time said, I wonder why he's not taking the recommendations. He didn't take them. He didn't take them last year. But now all of a sudden, let's just go with that and see what the Republicans in the House are going to do now. Okay? That's the problem, folks. The $2 billion debt he's talking about, probably it wasn't $2 billion, by the way. It bloated to $2 billion when Edwards got in office. It was about $800 million when it started. They the ones put that on top of that. Well, if it was $2 billion, Robert Adley, Senator Robert Adley, 8 of 8 budgets with Bobby Jindal, he voted for every single one. So did John Alario. And Edwards himself voted for 6 of them. Nobody wants to talk about how he got there except Moon Griffon. And we'll continue to talk about it. The hypocrisy of the left, Robert Adley, the J. Darden Republican, pushing crap. Boy, it smells in here. We got to get out of here because it stinks. By the way, thedeadpelican.com has all the 4 audios put together for you. Go to thedeadpelican.com. Listen for yourself. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow, open forum Friday. We might even take a call, Brandon.